society agenda for me, and I think for the organisation I represent, just draws together what the charity sector is already doing and drawing focus on aspects of society that are probably not working, trying to make people more aware of themselves as a community, trying to get themselves more involved in their community and trying to give them the ability to engage more in the outcomes of their own community.
Many local authority organisations have quite large community development departments. I would say those community development departments should be in the voluntary sector. But I also think things like community transport, community centres which provide a range of services, they should be locally controlled.
The voluntary sector can often have a long-term relationship with a client group, which enables you to develop trust and build up a good relationship, therefore letting that person be able to access services. And there's another really crucial role I think the voluntary sector can make, and that is acting, as it were, as a bridge between peripheral services and targeted services. They can help and support people to go through processes which they may find very intimidating and difficult to deal with.
And I think creativity here is also required. I think the voluntary sector is really quite good at looking at how needs can be met creatively, or at identifying needs that are not met by, or have traditionally not been met by local authorities, and creating solutions around that. And that to me is the interesting thing. I would hope that we could look forward to a better partnership approach with local authorities, but also with private sector organisations at local level.
There's going to be less and less public sector funding. Quite how we are meant to say to the voluntary sector, here you go, here's another challenge, do more with less. You know, the idea that voluntary means cheaper is a worry, or amateur is a worry, because it's not like that.
Another challenge is to make sure that the most disadvantaged people in society and the most disadvantaged communities have an opportunity to play an active part in this new agenda. And of course, again, they will need extra support, they will need creative ways in which they can be engaged in this.
My first and biggest plea to any local authority is look at what you already have in your area. And to be honest, it's going to be easier in some areas where there are unitary or borough authorities. In areas like West Sussex, where we have a two-tier situation with a county council still in control of certain things and districts and boroughs in control of other things, if what I'm hearing from the agenda is right, it's going to be the very local. So it's going to come down to districts and boroughs much more in some respects, because that's where their responsibilities are.
Some officers are open to listening and open to different ways of working. Others, shall we say, are not. And that's not because they don't want to. I just think that the structure and the organisation they're working in doesn't always allow them to do that. Whether that's the PCT or it doesn't allow them to do that. I think they need to listen. I think they need to sort of get around the table, go out there and find out what it is that we do before they make decisions about things.
The voluntary sector has always had a great role to play in the delivery of services, both commissioned from local authorities and also those that they run themselves just because they feel they're meeting a need. The big challenge, I think, is to join those two things up. It's very good that there is a move towards making sure that the whole of society has its part to play in changing the lives of the most vulnerable. On the other hand, we need to make sure that those resources that are applied to it do give the necessary support to the people who are delivering it. My great worry is that people will be, with the best will in the world, wanting to do as much as they can. But we know that for certain individuals there does have to be a particular level of professionalism applied to that support, otherwise it could actually do more harm than good.
The role of elected members in this process is really, really important, and I fear that it's in danger of slightly being left behind. The work that we've done in communities, very often we could not have done without a good, active local councillor working with community activists, and that partnership relationship has often been what has enabled things to get off the ground.